Severus Snape seems like the exact type of wizard who would understand advanced dark magic. But in the original story, Dumbledore kept the hunt for Voldemort's Horcruxes heavily compartmentalized. For almost the entire series, Snape actually knew next to nothing about them. Imagine a scenario where that secrecy is lifted early. Think about what happens if Dumbledore decides he needs a second strategist, pulling Snape into the fold shortly after Voldemort returns in the Goblet of Fire. This creates a severe problem for Voldemort. Snape possesses something Harry does not, the mind of a supposedly loyal servant who secretly despises his master. Snape spent years studying the Death Eaters from the inside. He knows exactly how the Dark Lord's paranoia operates, he recognizes his obsession with symbolism, and crucially, he is a powerful enough occlumens to lie directly to Voldemort's face without detection. Positioned right at the Dark Lord's right hand, Snape transitions from a reactive, reluctant bodyguard into an active, embedded agent, perfectly equipped to dismantle Voldemort's immortality from the inside out. To find a hidden piece of a soul, Harry relied on emotional instinct and personal connections. Snape operates on cold, mathematical deduction and deep theoretical knowledge of the dark arts. Investigating the diary reveals specific markers of advanced soul magic, tethering directly to Voldemort. From this first data point, a pattern emerges. Snape traces Voldemort's ego outward to locate artifacts tied to the Hogwarts founders, a ring, a locket, and a cup, years early. In this timeline, Dumbledore has a dedicated specialist for containment. If Snape is tasked with analyzing and neutralizing the defenses of these objects, his procedural caution might prevent Dumbledore from ever touching the lethal curse on the Gaunt Ring. Keeping Dumbledore alive stabilizes the entire resistance. The Ministry maintains a stronger defense. The Order remains tightly coordinated, and Draco's impossible assignment is neutralized. By substituting instinct with rigorous calculation, the hunt accelerates, stripping away Voldemort's safety nets while keeping their leader firmly on the board. But accessing that knowledge early carries a massive risk. Harry's natural compassion shielded him from dark power, whereas Snape is profoundly emotionally vulnerable. We know from the original timeline that close proximity to a Horcrux distorts the mind. It amplifies existing fear, anger, and insecurity, which is exactly why Ron Weasley abandoned the mission when wearing the locket. Now place that same corrosive artifact near a man who has spent a decade simmering in bitterness, consumed by guilt, and isolated from support. Snape originally joined the Death Eaters partly out of a genuine fascination with the dark arts. There is a real danger that as he studies these objects, he might intellectually admire the sheer brilliance of the magic. For someone who has spent his entire adult life walking a razor-thin line between light and dark, hunting these artifacts forces him into a grueling test to see if he can resist the very magic he is trying to destroy. There is one specific area of magic where Snape heavily outclasses Voldemort. He fully understands the mechanics of real, agonizing emotional sacrifice. Because Snape comprehends how Lily Potter's sacrificial magic operated, he is uniquely equipped to deduce the hidden variable long before Dumbledore plans to reveal it. Harry Potter himself carries a fragment of Voldemort's soul. This realization doesn't immediately erase Snape's long-standing grudge, but it forces it into the background. Seeing Harry not as a replica of James, but as a living vessel for the Dark Lord's soul, adds a layer of existential horror to their relationship. Snape begins to see the boy through the lens of his own life. He recognizes a fellow prisoner, someone whose entire existence has been fundamentally shaped and trapped by the choices of more powerful men. Snape's core motivation evolves. He is no longer protecting Harry simply to fulfill an old promise to Dumbledore. He is actively working to save a boy whose burden he finally fully understands. Armed with this knowledge early, Snape throws himself into a desperate search for a magical loophole, a way to extract the dark soul fragment without requiring the host to die. But that search is mathematically doomed to fail. The conditions keeping Harry alive are extraordinarily specific, bound by his mother's sacrifice and Voldemort's accidental use of Harry's blood to resurrect his own body. This outcome reveals the true weight of the Horcrux storyline. It is a chronicle of fractured souls and the permanent, inescapable damage caused by the dark arts. Severus Snape perfectly embodies this tragedy. His alternate timeline proves that even if you possess early knowledge, perfect inside strategy, and absolute brilliance, you cannot escape a war without permanent damage. The choices we make echo through the timeline, leaving scars that even magic can't erase. If you had the power to alter one single moment in Severus Snape's story, which choice would you rewrite? Let me know in the comments.